Okay, so now I'm going to briefly introduce you to how I use Obsidian specifically for creating the plant database for myself. So I won't go into explaining Obsidian that much. It's a note-taking app that creates or with which you can create all kind of relations, connections between the nodes. Um, so yeah, people are calling Obsidian your second brain or your second memory. There's a ton of YouTube videos and stuff online that you can watch. But now I'm just going to jump into showing you first the graph view. So the graph view is showing all your nodes basically. So this is the result of using Obsidian for 1 year. I mean, of me using Obsidian for 1 year for pretty much everything I do. So the plant database is here, my business CRM is here, and all the notes I take, whether they are related to permaculture design or my business or personal things or philosophical ponderings or whatever. So it's all here. And so you could jump in, but what we'll do now is that we'll filter from this. Yeah, by the way, you can see that my business stuff is in this area. Then somehow the plant database got scattered around, but basically where you can see this kind of more structured things are plant database. The red ones are kind of permaculture, sociocracy related stuff. The yellow ones are people. So you can color code different things. Now we'll jump into the plant database. I'll just show what that looks like. So just taking those nodes that are related to the plant database, it looks like this, and we can include tags in the connections, which makes it look much tighter, or be without the tags. So all these dots, every dot represents a node. So maybe a plant species or an individual plant or a family or some other node related to the plant database. And the bigger the dot is, the more connections there are to that dot. So we could take one of these. Well, there's like Corylus avellana hazelnut, which seems to have a lot of stuff. So we can go to that node, and then you'll see that there's some properties to the node. Aliases means that I'm using the scientific names here, but then I have the Finnish or the English or whatever. So all these words will direct to this same node. You can use tags. So here, kasvilaji means species. So then I know that this node is a species node. The family of this plant category is saying that it's a big bush, it's nuts, it's edible, it's natural, so occurring naturally here. Status in this case means that it's planted. So I mean, here is in this case, it's a plant species that occurs here naturally, wild, but I'm also planting it, so breeds. These are just reminding me of how I'm categorizing and so forth. Then there is so everything that is blue like or violet like this is a link. So if I click on this one, so it goes to the family page Betulaceae. So hazelnut is in the same family as birch, for example. And here I have created a table of um, all the plants that are in this family. I mean, not all the plants, but I mean those which are in my plant database so far. So there is, I mean, even the alders belong to the same family. The birches, obviously, and the hazelnuts, Corylus family, are all in the Betulaceae. And then there is a list of backlinks, so notes where there is a link to this page. So that's helpful many times. But we can go, let's go back to we can click here back the Corylus avellana again, or we can go back. So again, here there's a table basically showing the varieties of Corylus avellana that we have here. So all those are a note again. So I mean, this is basically a relational database. So you have to decide which levels of things you are creating. You have to, of course, do some planning before you start to build it. And so when we are here in the variety note, it will direct back to the species, and it will list individual plants here on Isoarvokkaniitty belonging to that variety. So when we click on that, again, we get to a note giving information. It's been planted, the species, the variety, where or which area. So this is an individual plant, so it's saying it's planted in the hazelnut grove. It's on row 1, place 5. I got the plant from Joel Rosenberg. It's been planted. That's kind of a useless property, I would say. And then what I can do here is add observations of this individual plant. So like here, well, this is actually, this one is planted last summer. So on well, not summer really, because it's 6th of November. I planted it. So anyway, I can use the Obsidian app on my mobile phone and take a photo and add it to this note. And what I would do then is that I would just add more photographs on the same note to create a history of that plant, history of observations. So basically we have gone through all those levels. We could have looked also at well, let's just open we look at the family Ugandaceae. So we have here again table of those species, the Karya and the Ugulans. And if we go to Ugulans cordiformis, if I remember correct, we'll find the let's say this one planted in 2017. So for this individual, I have collected more photos. So here we are planting it in September 2017, and so here is 2018 May. Here is August 2020. Here is October 2020. June 21, May 23. Then there was an accident which broke one of the main branches. So it looks kind of one-sided now, unfortunately. So that's August 23. Because of this accident, it's creating new shoots, which I cut down most of them, so left 3 of them, hoping that it will balance it later. November 23. That can't really be correct. Maybe it's. I have to check this one. Maybe it's actually September. And then we have October 20th after the first frost. So if we would compare this photo to photos of other trees, juglans or castanea or so forth, we can see how they are reacting to the shortening days and so forth. So this individual is not really reacting. It just loses its leaves after it freezes. It doesn't really understand that it's autumn and that it should drop the leaves, while we have some other juglans which are acting more appropriately. So I actually made a plan here for this introduction, and I'm looking what I was planning to do. I've kind of yeah, how do you create tables? So I'm not going to go deep into that, but in Obsidian you are using what's called data view. So very simple coding, where you create the table, you list what you want to have there. So you'll have the file name always. Then I'm choosing the aliases to show. So the file name is in practice the scientific name. The aliases is like the Finnish name or maybe English name. What I have added the categories, the status. So those are included as columns from tag kasvilaji. Yeah, and then you can sort them, and you can have more parameters here to filter down what you want to show. But in this case, because I haven't really included yet that many species that we don't have. I mean, basically the purpose of this database has been to add species that we have planted or seeded or whatever. So now it's kind of safe to just list all the species, and so those will be species here. So quite simple, and then you get this list with the scientific name and the aliases and the categories and the status. And so here I can see that there's 223 species. So there might be some which we don't actually have here, but I would say that by far the most. So for sure we have planted or seeded over 200 species here at Isorvokki. And similarly, you could make, or I have made a list of the individual plants. So 385 plants. So again, just to quickly show that again, you're choosing what columns you want to have, and then the tag is istutus, so meaning planted. Then you sort. Somehow I. Yeah, okay, no, actually there's a little bit inconsistency in my tagging because, and that happens when you don't plan properly from the beginning, so you change halfway and get confused. But so actually here is the other list showing 385 plants. So I have to work out the correct tagging to get this precise. But anyway, I would say that there's 385, close to 385 trees and bushes. I mean, individual trees and bushes planted at Isorvakki. I haven't listed those that have died, so because I've created this year, so there was no point in adding trees that aren't there. And then another aspect that is interesting is that I have these. Let me show first what in the design are called planting areas. So there is the vineyard, the technical wetland, the hazelnut grove, the wet meadow, the nut grove or nut guilds, the shadow area, the intensive area, upper yard, coniferous, wooden, and so forth. So, and then we could have a look at one of these. So let's say the hazelnut grove. So this is the one where I have planted in pretty much straight rows along the ditch on the southwest side. So here I have made a table where it's again showing in the columns the plant, the placing, um, date of observation. That's maybe not really relevant. Type. This means it's observation. This one says that it will list those where planting place is HG, so the hazelnut grove, and it's sorting it by the placing so that I get them in the right order. So row one, place one, row one, place two, and so forth. So these are in the order where they are there. And so now if I would open this on the mobile phone, I can easily find the plant when I'm out there. And so imagining that I would then be on the mobile phone, click this one, and if I want to add a new picture, I could easily do that. In some cases, let's say in the for example, the area which is here below the house, the lower yard, I have a similar list, much shorter in this case. of trees and bushes that have been uh, planted here. But then there's another list, um, which is by no means complete, where I'm listing perennials. So basically listing plants which I don't want to handle as individual plants. I just want to know that, okay, I have planted Allium ursinum in this area. So then it means that I've just marked here in tags um, where I have planted. Remember what this is in English, but the bear leek. Anyway, so again, it says it's a species, but then it also says that it's planted on the earth cellar, in the vineyard, and on the lower yard. So that information is here in tags. So then when I go to the lower yard, I get a list, it's included in the list. And then there's a third list here, which is uh, wild plants that I have identified in this lower yard. So there is alder, there is the white anemone, birch, lily of valley, hazel, poplar, um, Prunus padus, and so forth. Willow, rowan. So again, of course, these are plants where I can okay, here see that my logic is not consistent. That here I've created a new property called occurring, where it is occurring. So this is showing that it's occurring in the forest, in the main forest area, in the young forest area, where I'm planting forest garden, and in the lower yard. So actually a little bit different logic here, but as long as I remember what my logic is, it works. But, yeah, so that's um, about the tables. Um, yeah, I think I pretty much showed what I wanted to show. So in conclusion, I think, I mean, basically, I'm pretty happy with this so far. Um, it's extremely flexible. Of course, you shouldn't be too flexible because, I mean, it pays off to plan, obviously, beforehand how you want to structure the relations. So basically, what kind of relational database are you creating? What do you want to show? Um, and One thing I also wanted to show was, yeah, maybe I'll show it here. No, it's not doing it. So there's a map. move it to. So in Obsidian, you can do all kind of stuff if somebody has developed a plugin. By the way, Obsidian is free. That's a benefit. So here I've created, or actually started to create, a map. So far, I've only included one row of the hazelnut grove. So basically, you can place these dots on the map by fetching from example Google Maps the exact coordinates, or you could have a device for getting the coordinates. But actually, luckily, Google Maps has taken their last satellite photograph of our place of Isoarvokaniitty to at some point last summer. So I have quite precise coordinates from the Google Maps, which I can then add here and make a dot for every individual plant. And I can also use color codes. So the green ones, all the green ones are Corylus avellana or Corylus. And the blue ones are anything producing berries, and the red ones are anything producing fruit. So that's just one logic. So if I click on the dot here, we'll get to that note of the apple tree. So this is the last feature I've been using, and it's surprisingly simple. Of course, there is almost 400 plants, so it takes them some time to add all of them. But so I'm just testing so far. But yeah, looks pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a short introduction to what we can do with Obsidian. So the downside compared to other alternative, well, mainly the Zoho, which I was developing earlier, is that you can't publish this. You cannot embed this on a website or anything like that. So you're just using it for yourself, and you can take screenshots and so forth to add somewhere, but you cannot really publish it or embed it, similar to the Zoho creator that I was testing earlier. Okay, that's that.